Hi everybody and welcome to the third card in April's card class. We're halfway through now. So this card here is actually my favourite card in the set. Does anyone notice that the third card in the sets that I make tend to be my favourite? It's funny that, isn't it? Has anyone else noticed that? So this card here is probably one of the most detailed cards that I've made in this month's card class. And I just really love the sort of the textures in this card. I brought in a few little extra techniques and I'm excited to show that to you. So for this card we have got a card base that is cut from crumb cake card. We're back into the tent fold card design, meaning it stands like a tent. And then we've got some layers of that DSP here and we're using this really nice green. And we're mounting it onto a layer of basic white to get that little border around the centre there. Okay, now we can stick our basic white piece down like so. And then we need to do a little bit of work on this so we can attach our vellum over the top to just mute it ever so slightly. Like so. I love how that glue just sort of appears like that. And then we're going to use some of this fine art floral ribbon and we're going to just wrap it round ever so slightly. Okay, now this ribbon, I'm very sad this ribbon is retiring. It's one of my favourites from this year. I have used spools and spools of it. And yes, I did stock up when it was added to the last chance list. Sometimes it's just got to be done, hasn't it? I'm just going to add my ribbon like so. I've got a very specific bow on this card, so I find adding the ribbon like this just really helps. Okay, we can then stick that down to the front of our card, like so. Okay, now got a little technique here for you with the seasonal layer banner there. So it's cut from white card and I'm going to add just a little pattern to it, just a really subtle pattern using a little bit of Sahara sand, ink. Okay, so I'm sticking with that lovely neutral theme, neutral colour theme, and I'm going to hold that in place as much as I can and then I'm going to very lightly just go over this mask like so, and I really don't want that pattern to show too much. It's very subtle. I don't really want to take anything away from the decoration on the card, so I have kept that really light, if you can see that there. Okay, so if you remember we cut this little doily in half for one of our first cards. We're going to do exactly the same. We're going to stick it down onto our card. Okay, and I'm going to stick this down with a foam pad this time, just because we've got that ribbon sitting there. It will go a little bit bumpy if we try to stick it down flat. So I'm just going to move that up ever so slightly. Okay, like so. And then we have our lovely banner that we can stick on. Okay, actually I need to move that just ever so slightly over. I've done it so that it just overlaps a little bit and then we can fit our banner on like so. So this is also going to go on with pads. Make sure our pattern is up the right way and I'm going to stick that on just so that it sits just inside that vellum and we can see a little bit of that ribbon showing. Okay, now for our flower, like so, I have actually coloured a little bit of the flour in on this, and I have used a light crumb cake blend for this, and all I've done is I've sort of coloured where the pattern is on the petals, okay, and I've only coloured the flowers in. You may obviously want to colour them in a different sort of way. You may have chosen to colour all of them in, but I'm just colouring a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of shading, just a really, really little bit, just in the sort of nooks of where I've coloured. Like so. Okay, so it's just a different sort of look that we can achieve on this card. I'm going to stick that down so that it is flat. And that's going about there. Okay, we've got a few little die cut pieces that we can add in. And these are going to kind of come out of the top. Like so. Okay, the next thing we've got is our sentiment. I'm going to bring in a piece of craft card, and I'm going to stamp that nice, have a perfect birthday again. Oh, that's terrible stamping, Stacey. What are you doing? Let's try again. Shall we? I think it's where the card is curling. I'm just going to grab another piece of craft card. Okay, I'm going to use this little bit of scrap here. I'm going to get that along there. Okay, I'm just going to hold this down with... Let's clean the stamp off. That's probably a good place to start, isn't it? Much better. Much, much nicer. Okay, so let's just trim this down. And let's bring our card back in. Okay, so we can pop that down. There. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie ourselves a really nice bow using this ribbon, and you'll notice my bow is a bit fluffy, it looks a bit different, it's not as thick. So what I've actually done is I've cut this ribbon in half. Okay, and this is one of the things that I need to sort of, it's on my sort of to-do list, in that I need to I'd like to play around with sort of ribbons and texture a little bit more on my cards. So I'm just going to chop about that much. Okay, and then I'm going to just hold them together and tie myself a nice bow. I remember it taking me a while before because it's doubled over. Okay. And I don't really want it to be too big. do, but I just want it to be a bit sort of fluffy, if that makes sense. And then we've got our little bow to go on there. I'm going to trim that down. Ever so slightly. Fine. Okay, and then this is going to be put on with some glue dots. Which my glue dots are behind my camera, which is always handy. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to put this on with a little glue dot, add my bow to my glue dot, and then I'm going to attach it just where that ribbon sort of meets, like so. Okay. And then all we've got left to do is to stick our piece inside for our message when we send this. Just like so, and you just need to finish it off by adding a few little of those genial gems, and I've gone for the sort of goldy looking gems rather than the green ones for this card. That is card number 3 all finished. I hope you like it. As I said at the beginning, it's my favourite card of the set, and I hope you enjoyed it too. I will see you all over on the next video for card number 4. Bye for now.